everyone, it's Samantha from Scrapmaster's Paradise, and today I'm going to show you one of my favorite basic Copic strokes or techniques. I'm going to be using a color family that's really good for blending. I've got B72, B75, and B78, and these ones blend pretty well together, so I wanted to go ahead and use them. You're going to find, if you're new to Copics, that some of the numbers blend really well together, and then some of them just don't blend very well. This one, the colors are all close together, so they actually end up blending really nicely. I've just got this scrap of my Copic paper. I accidentally dropped the stamp when I was stamping this, so you can see this piece is pretty useless, and I actually had some scrap written on the back of this paper. So I'm going to just use this as my piece of paper for this technique. And I call this a flicking stroke. I don't know, other people call it different things. You'll hear different names for this, but I just call it flick because what you do is when you're holding your marker, you press down and flick. You kind of raise up. So if you're going from the side, let's see if I can try to do this. If you're going from the side, you raise your pen up off of the paper. And then you're left with darker at the end and then lighter at the very tip where your marker comes up off the paper. So this is something you're going to want to practice if you haven't mastered this technique. And it seems like you can flick one way better than the other way. So like I went from this side up, where I don't have as good a control when I'm going the opposite way. Going like that, I feel more comfortable going this way, flicking, rather than up the other way. So when I'm doing my videos, I often turn my piece of paper as I'm coloring. That way I'm getting all the coverage I want, and I have the most control of my coloring. So I'm going to just go ahead and lay down some color and show you how I use this technique. It's just going to be a very basic Copic 101 type of deal here. So I'm going to start with my lightest color. You can start however you want, but I'm just going to show you what I do. And I lay down the color that I start with as my lightest color. And get it nice and saturated. I went over it a bunch. And while it's still wet, I take my next color, which is BG75, and I start flicking from one edge. And it depends on how much color you want to get down, whether you want to flick just with the tip, make tiny little strokes, or flick with the side and get bigger strokes. So that's what I did, and I'm going to make smaller strokes as a second row here. You can see the color's already starting to build up, and I'm going to zoom in for you guys so you guys can see what's happening better. Then I take my next color, which is the BG78, my darkest shade, and do even smaller flicks. And you see my flicks are all about the same size. You get a little bit of variation, and I'm going to go make teeny tiny little flicks. That way, just with flicking, no blending or anything, I already have color building up. I've got the lightest, get some medium shades all the way to my darkest color. Now you can blend this together even better if you want to go back and do flicks over the top. So I've got my medium color here. This is the BG75, and I'm going to go over all of the same area. I'm just blending out some of those strokes. And I'm going to use my lightest color, BG72, and go even further with my flicks. We're just building the color. And sometimes I use a combination. I don't only do one technique. So I'll do the flicking to lay down most of my color and get it where I want. And if I want it to look smooth, I bring back some of my lighter colors and kind of zigzag over some of the top part, blend it out, or use round strokes. I'm going to make it too light here, but just for the example, I'll go over it in little round strokes at the end here and blend it out. But now I know it's going to look way too light because I went over it too much. But you can play with it as much as you want. So I got my medium color again, and I'm going to do some more strokes. You can really just build up the color as much as you want and go back and forth with it until you get some gradient that you really like. I really like this technique when I'm doing hair because I don't go back and blend anything when I'm coloring the hair. I just leave all these nice strokes and it looks like more realistic hair. So that is the flicking technique. If you're new to Copics, I hope you'll give this a try. And I will keep working on some of these basic videos. People have asked me about doing more basic style videos that just shows basically a technique or how to color and blend. So this is our first one. I hope you liked it. Bye.